petroleum exploration and production.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Look, thank you, Mr Chairman, and I appreciate that the previous speaker was asking legitimate questions, and I think I'll try and take the opportunity, even though I've come into this relatively late, a piece of legislation that the previous government brought forward in an attempt to clarify the whole process, and I can vouch for the fact that it's been imperfect, the Crown Minerals Act permitting regime for many years. So we believe this is progress on it. And can I address the issue of compelling reasons? And understand the Act at the moment has a definition of compelling reasons in it. So we're not inventing something new here, and the Minister will probably take guidance from the same set of criteria, that is what is compelling or not, when making the decisions. And one of those reasons is of course, if the information wasn't available. And so that's a fairly legitimate one. If the Minister can be convinced that that was the situation, clearly it would be a compelling reason. Can I say that in terms of his reference to a change of ownership happening very, very quickly, if anyone is to buy shares or buy a company and not do some kind of due diligence, then they deserve what they get, quite frankly. And if they haven't looked at the company and all its potential and its permits and the status of those permits perhaps, then maybe they shouldn't be so quick to make the purchase, take some more time. So I think it's fairly legitimate to ask of someone that they, prior to the end of a consent, then request a change of ownership. I think that's perfectly reasonable if I can, without specifying particular cases, say that, there's been a bit of gaming and wheeling and dealing around these permits over the years. And I think that the previous governments, and probably ours too, is to have legitimate utilisation by legitimate companies of the access to the Crown's minerals. So the gaming that has sometimes occurred, the wheeling and dealing in permits that has sometimes not been very clear, I think needs to be eliminated. And we want people to be able to mine minerals for legitimate reasons, in a legitimate way, and have access to them in a way that is overseen by a government in the proper way. I think there have been a few questions asked prior to me coming into the chair. I'm not sure that I'm in a position to answer each and every one of them, other than to say that there has been thorough consideration, and the ministerial oversight, which is pretty important here, is guided by the existing Act. And I think by, due diligence and by jurisprudence, over other parts of the Crown Minerals Act and its history. I don't think there's anything else that I can clarify for the Minister, other than to say that, access to legitimate credibility for operators in terms of finance and health and safety. I think it would be fair to say that if anyone has a track record that is not up to spec, that is, that they have abused the health and safety system or they've gone broke a number of times, then I think it would be fair enough for the Minister to take that into consideration when they're allowing a permit to be transferred. So, fair questions, but I have to say you have to trust the parliamentary system, and the Minister in charge at the time, and I'm sure as long as it's a coalition minister, there'll be sound judgments made all the way through the Crown Minerals Act.
I call Maureen Pugh.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I just wanted to take a short call